This video is on dimensional analysis. This is used a lot in chemistry, and it's a very reliable method for unit conversions. So we cannot always just move the decimal point like we did in the metric system. Sometimes we will have to use this multi-step method called dimensional analysis. And we can go back and forth between English and metric units doing this as well. So there are a lot of steps to this, as you can see in the notes here, and I will kind of condense those as we do some examples, and you can always refer back to these notes then if that makes it easier for you to go step by step here. So the first example, and we have to use dimensional analysis, says convert 0.5 grams into milligrams. You always want to write down your given thing first. So what are we given here? We are given 0.500 grams. So 0.500 grams. I always put that over the number 1. That 1 does not have a unit with it. I am just simply showing the numerator and the denominator to make dimensional analysis make sense better. So I'm just putting it over the number 1. I'm always putting a multiplication symbol there. Whatever unit I have in the numerator, I want to put that same unit in the denominator. So in this case, since I have gram up top, I want to put gram down low over here. You always want to crisscross. And then whatever you're looking for, you can put in the numerator. So I'm looking for milligrams. So I'm putting milligrams up here. Now, this fraction right here is just a conversion factor. So just like there's 4 quarters in a dollar, or 100 pennies in a dollar, or 12 inches in a foot, you need to know how many milligrams are in a gram. So I know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. That's just a conversion factor. That's a memory thing. Now what happens is this gram on top and this gram on the bottom will cancel out. So notice what unit we have left over, milligrams. Notice what unit we want, milligrams. And now we can just type this in our calculator or just move the decimal point over 3 spots because it's 1,000, and we get 500 point milligram. And if you don't know why that point is there, refer to your significant figures. There are 3 significant figures here, so we need that decimal point. Without that decimal point, we'd only have 1 significant figure. Now, this conversion factor, you can go about it a different way. As you learn with the metric system, I always like to give the bigger unit the 1. So out of milligrams and grams, gram is the bigger unit, so that's why I gave that a 1. But you can give the milligram a 1, and then you would say, okay, how many grams are in a milligram? And it's 0.001. So mathematically, it will come out to be the same thing. You would just end up dividing 0.5 divided by 0.001. You still get 500 milligrams. But notice how the top, in my opinion, this is way better because there's no decimal points. This, you have to use decimal points there. So that's a matter of opinion, but you will see me do the top way, giving the larger unit a 1. A tumor has a diameter of 5.5 nanometers. What is the diameter of the tumor in meters? So again, write down your given first. We are given 5.5 nanometers. Always put it over the number 1. Eventually, we're going to have numerator and denominator having units. So this will help us get ready for that. Whatever unit is at the top, you want to put on the bottom. So since nanometers is up top, we will put it on the bottom here. And whatever we're looking for goes on the top. So in this case, we're looking for meters. So I will put meter up top. Out of meter and nanometers, the bigger unit would be meters. So I'm giving that a 1. And nanometers, I know there are a billion nanometers in a meter. 1 times 10 to the 9th. And look at what happens to your units. The nanometers cancel, and we're left with meters. That's what we want. And our answer, be comfortable with scientific notation. 5.5 times 10 to the negative 9th meters. Notice that 9 is negative. Now, what if you have 2 or more conversion factors? Notice here, we only had 1 conversion factor. And here, we only had 1 conversion factor. What if it's multi-stepped? So let's look at this. Convert 78,000 centimeters into kilometers. Still write down your given. Still put it over 1. Still put a multiplication sign. Still cross over units. Whatever's on top goes on the bottom. Now, it is possible that you can put kilometers on top and do this in one step. However, I want to show you this intermediate step because you might not know how many centimeters are in a kilometer too easily. But you should know that we can go to meter pretty easily and that there are 100 centimeters in a meter. Centimeters cancels. Notice right now we have meter, but we do not want meter, we want kilometer. So we need another conversion factor. We're still going to crisscross units. So since meter is up top, meter is going down low. And now kilometer can go up top. Meters cancel. We're left with kilometer. That's what we want. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. And now we can just type that in our calculator or move the decimal point, however you want to do it, and we get 0.78 kilometers. So that's an example of a 2-step problem. Here's another one. If a patient receives 25 deciliters of blood, how many milliliters has the patient received? Start with your given. You can do this in one step pretty easily. The bigger unit is a deciliter, and I know there are 100 milliliters in a deciliter. And that's my answer. Again, your units cancel. And how am I doing that conversion factor so quick? That's just going back to the metric system notes, specifically this timeline, and seeing deci to milli is 2 jumps. So that's where I get my 2 zeros from. That's where I get the 100 from. I know deciliter is bigger because it's to the left of milliliter. English to metric conversions. So there are a bunch of things here to look at. Some things you should have memorized. That is one that is worth memorizing. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. This is one you should have memorized. 1 kilogram is 2.205 pounds. And then this is one we'll use coming up here. We talked about some of the other ones in the previous notes. These are the ones we already discussed. So let's do a problem here. Notice this is going from an English measurement, pints, to the metric system. So, still going to do it the same way. We're still going to start with our given, 285 pints. over 1. Crisscross units. If nothing else, you can do that to start. Now, you have to think of a conversion factor you know with pints. So hopefully you're thinking quarts, and you're thinking that there are 2 pints in a quart. So that is a conversion factor. That's a memorized thing. Notice pints cancels. We're left with quarts. We don't want quarts. We want liters. So we need another conversion factor. Crisscross. How many quarts are in a liter? If you go up to our table, 1 liter is 1.06 quarts. 1 liter is 1.06 quarts. Make sure you put the numbers in the right spot. Quarts cancels. Notice we're left with liters. That's what we want. So we type that in our calculator. Significant figures. It looks like we want 3 of them. So we are left with 134 liters.